This is an introduction to intelligent data quality validation for the pharma industry. Powered by machine learning, it simplifies the business user's data validation tasks enormously. One of the key challenges pharma business users face is to validate the accuracy of sales data from many different sources. For example, the sales data is vital for weekly sales reporting, incentive compensation, and for competitive strategy. Typical overview of the data flow from the landing zone. It goes to multiple data warehouses. It's enriched along the process and validated. There's too much delay before the business team can access the data. Managing rules and thresholds is very hard, and advanced checks are very limited as they are laborious to code. These are the top 10 pharma-specific data quality needs. Number 1 and 2 are most vital for the business users and they're hardest to implement. 3, 4, 5, and 6 are in second tier of importance. Nevertheless, a user-friendly way to execute it will give an efficiency boost. Needs 7 through 10 help with operational efficiency and are critical for reducing cost. DataBuck caters to all the top 10 data quality needs with a UI designed specifically for pharma companies. With DataBuck, a business user will simply and easily consume validated data. The data is automatically validated in the landing zone as soon as it arrives, with no human intervention and alerts sent. As it moves downstream, it's reconciled automatically to ensure accuracy. The best practices to validate pharmaceutical data are incorporated in DataBuck. Data is efficiently validated in 5 levels. At level 1 and 2, file level checks are performed. At level 3, essential data quality checks are performed. The checks are cascaded to catch the most serious errors early and increasing levels of nuanced errors thereafter. At the 4th level are the trend checks, which are of great interest to the business teams. It checks for errors in the unit of measure from different sources, unusual trends in sales or prescription activity, and more. The last and the 5th level is month-to-month comparison to spot anomalous sales behavior. DataBuck makes it very easy for the business user to see all the critical information in a single screen. You could dig deep from a root cause analysis, zoom in on any date range, follow the data flow and the sequence of checks, track what failed, where, and why, and down below you could get record level details of all the essential checks, trend checks, and unit of measure checks. The greens are passes and the peach and yellow are causes for concern or failures. This is the user interface for DataBuck. You can zoom into daily, weekly, monthly, or a custom date range. Look at the file monitoring, essential checks, get a high level view of how many files came. 46 files were monitored and passed for file monitoring. 21 files failed. The file monitoring checks. These are the different files, and the checks that were performed, and the checks that failed. 8 files failed the essential checks. Listed are the essential files, the different checks that were done, and the checks that passed and failed. 15 files passed, 4 files failed. The trend checks. We'll see more details later. As we scroll down, we'll see the different sources and the files that came from the different sources. Here are the sources and the different files. Let's just pick one file from one source which passed. Different checks that were done, all of them passed, and we can approve it to move on to the next level. Then we look at the essential checks. 4 kinds of essential checks listed in the bottom of the screen are performed. Here are a few that are listed. These are the different columns on which the checks were done. There was a single record that failed. A 0.45% failure, threshold was 0%. Clicking there, you get details. 223 records, single record failed. By accepting, we acknowledge the failure and strengthen the machine learning model. By rejecting the failure, the software automatically figures out the appropriate threshold for that particular column based on machine learning. Or you can input a threshold you choose manually, like 2% here. Next, we explore the trend check, which is also the basis for the unit of measure validation. Before we dive into this graph, let's understand what the software is doing. Data distribution in every microsegment is compared to historical patterns. A microsegment could be any level of granularity chosen by the user. Here, the average trend chart compares the average value for a certain microsegment to the upper and lower limits, and the average is above the upper limit. The shape trend, or the standard deviation, looks at the spread of the curve for that particular microsegment compared to history, and the standard deviation is above the green curve, the expected upper limit. And lastly, looking at the total sum refers to the area under the curve, or for example the total amount of a dispensed prescription, and it compares the value for a given microsegment in the current batch with the historical upper and lower limits, and here it is above the upper limit, and hence the status is a failure on all three fronts. Looking at an adjoining microsegment that passed the trend check, the average value for this batch is within the upper and lower bounds. So is the standard deviation and the total dispensed quantity as well. And there are no anomalous drift values. And so this microsegment has passed the trend checks. Standard data quality tools come with these three modules. The data execution engine in DataBuck is enhanced by high-performance Spark execution engine, which enables auto-discovery of data quality rules, provides reusable rules, self-healing data quality rules, and auto-update of trend check thresholds. The root cause analysis modules enables to pinpoint the bad data very easily. Here are the benefits of DataBook that are very obvious to any user. And a few more benefits that are not very obvious but very powerful in reducing the total cost and increasing the ease of use. The auto-discovered data quality rules is a very powerful feature of DataBuck, and here are a few examples of actual data quality rules auto-discovered by DataBuck with zero human input. Starting with some essential rules for data completeness, it is also auto-discovered conformity rules like specialty code must conform to 2 or 3 character length. The match code must be a 2-digit integer. Some examples of validity rules, which refers to the validity of intercolumn relationships. If the specialty description is abdominal surgery, then the specialty code must be AS. And uniqueness rules, like the medical affiliate ID, cannot be a duplicate. Here is an example from financial data where DataBuck auto-discovered an intricate 7-column rule and used it to flag an anomalous record. DataBuck is the most advanced intelligence augmentation software that can auto-profile, auto-discover, self-heal data quality rules, and validate the data. SMEs can validate thousands of data sets in just 3 clicks.